Hello YouTube and Facebook. We are going to be discussing another one of my favorite movie genres today. So right after this, we'll be right back and we'll get right into it. Alright. Before we get into the movie, or the part about the movies, if you like this video, don't forget, like, if you like this kind of content, to like my page. And if you like my page and leave a comment, please keep it family friendly. I try to keep everything family friendly for the most part on mine. And then you want to subscribe. There's a subscribe button. Hit that subscribe button if you like. I appreciate all the subscribers that I can get. And then share my video, that way other people can see it. Maybe other people will like it and wanna, hey, this guy's pretty cool. So alright, so remember, like, comment, share, subscribe, or like, comment, subscribe, share, whatever. Whichever way you want to do it, just do her and I'll keep y'all informed. Alright. Okay, we are back. Now, welcome back. Instead of discussing a certain movie, I thought I would discuss a certain type of movie that I really enjoy, and that is the giant monster genre. From the classics up to even some of the newer ones I actually like. There's a lot of good ones. So we'll kind of get into some of them and list a few from the classics to today and kind of discuss them a little bit and see how many of you out there agree with me or not. Of course, back in the 50s and the 60s, there was a big, atomic threat. They had the, building of the bomb shelters and all that. And then, of course, they came up with these movies where they were affected by the bomb, the atomic bomb. Like, well, let's see, there was Them, about the giant ants, and then, of course, there were ones that, well, actually, even Godzilla, one of the most famous monster movies of all time, the genre, all of them, all the Godzillas, they always had, monsters, mutated monsters because of the bomb. And I don't know how many times Tokyo got destroyed and they had to rebuild, but I love the Godzilla movies. So, I mean, that's definitely at the top of my giant monster genre. But then there was also Tarantula, which actually, I think was the film debut for Mr. Clint Eastwood. He had a very brief moment where he played an airplane pilot and he bombed the hell out of the giant tarantula. So, and Peter Graves, who became later known as Jim, I think was his name on Mission Impossible. He starred in quite a few of the giant monster and so forth movies. So like The Beginning of the End, I think that was one of them that he was in. I mean, a lot of these actors that of today or even back a few years ago got their start in some of these movies like that. So, but the giant monsters were always great. They never, especially back in the 50s and 60s, they were so good. The old black and whites, like I said, the original Godzilla and Tarantula and Them, The Beginning of the End, the giant crab monster, the giant claw. I think actually though the giant claw wasn't because of a bomb. I think it came from space if I remember correctly. But yeah, I love the giant monster movies. Those are my favorite, though, from back in the 50s and 60s. Reminds me of, like staying up late on Friday night with my cousin and my brothers and stuff like that, my cousins and brothers, and we would all eat pizza and watch Chiller Theater on Friday nights, and a lot of them always featured the giant monsters. So, and I love watching them. I mean, I got pretty much all of them. So, so now we're going to move from the 50s and 60s up to the 70s. In the 70s, there were some, oh yeah, well, we can't forget Gamera. Some people pronounce them Gamera, but I think it's pronounced Gamera. I'm not really positive on that. The giant turtle. So, but now we're going to go to the 70s, and there weren't really a lot of giant monster movies in the 70s. There was a few, like, of course, Jaws, technically, but that's not he wasn't, because of radiation. In fact, I don't think all the ones in the 70s pretty much weren't really radioactive, or whatever, from the bomb. There was, of course, Jaws, but, that was the ultimate 70s monster movie, I guess. Also, there was Food of the Gods. Excuse me. And I loved Food of the Gods, but that just came from chicken feed. In fact, it was stuff in the earth or whatever. Food of the Gods. Not like watching giant chickens. And then, of course, we can't forget the ultimate. Oh, well, and then, Empire of the Ants, which, if you watch Empire of the Ants with Joan Collins, the ants sound like the ants from the movie Them. They basically made the same sound. So, and that was pretty good. But they did a far stretch with some movies. But I love them. I love the B movies. Like, my all-time favorite from the 70s would be Night of the Lepus. And who'd have ever thought that they would have made a movie about giant killer rabbits? So, I mean, it was, there was quite a few, not quite a few, but there was a few from the 70s. And then the 80s, they had, let me see, I think they might have had a few, like some of them were Godzilla. They revived Godzilla in 1985, Godzilla in 1985. They did that. And then, of course, let's see here. Oh, there was one that came out, and it was really good. Because it was a cheesy movie. I love the cheesy movies. But there was one called Q, the Winged Serpent. And it was about a giant, I think it was like a pterodactyl or something. Or, like a giant bird flying around New York, beheading people and eating them and grabbing them out of swimming pools and stuff like that. And then they kind of started making some more B movies about giant monsters. They had two of them, which I love. One was called Skeeter, and there was actually two of them about giant mosquitoes. There was Skeeter, and then there was Mosquito. I'll get it, Mosquito. And they were both obviously about giant mosquitoes, but they were really good. But they weren't really popular, but they, I liked them. And I really can't think of too many other movies that they came out with in the 1980s. And then the 90s, they still were carrying on with the Godzilla movies and all that, and the Gamera movies, and Mothra. Can't forget Mothra and Rodan, from the original back in the 60s. Rodan the giant bird, and Mothra the giant moth, and Japanese giant monster movies are the bomb. I just love them. So, 90s were so-so, but they started coming up with movies. Then, of course, they really weren't radioactive. They were just giant monsters like Lake Placid, with had Betty White in it. That's the first time I ever heard her cuss like the way she did in, um, Lake Placid, because I just think twice. It's like, is that really Betty White? And so, but it was. But they started coming out with stuff like, the Lake Placids, which, like I said, were good. They had giant snake movies like Python, and they had Anaconda. Let's see. I mean, they just had like all kinds of giant snake movies, and then, of course, I guess you really wouldn't consider them giant or anything, but they had the Swarm, of course, in the 70s about the African killer bees, but they really weren't giant monsters, so that one, I guess, doesn't really fall under this one. That'll come at a later time. Also, there was, giant insect movies besides Skeeter and Mosquito. They started having movies like Swarmed, and then they had some about mutated giant rats that came out I think that actually came out in the 80s, I think, and I can't even remember what it's called now, but it was really good. But then they started coming out with some really weird giant monster movies, like Sharknado. Those were the giant sharks and all the tornadoes and stuff. I think they had like 5 of them. And, and Two-Headed Shark Attack, and, all these weird sharktopus, half shark, half octopus. And, I mean, they had a lot of, I think my favorite modern ones are like the ones like the giant snakes. I love those, the giant snakes. And a lot of the giant insect ones were pretty cool too. But they never, ever released a giant bug movie that was a lightning bug, a firefly. That would have been cool, Of course, I thought the same thing about mosquitoes, and then they finally came out with Mosquito and Skeeter. But they never came out with a giant lightning bug. But they always came. A lot of the giant monsters that they make now are, well, they got like ice spiders, which they're spiders made of ice, and lava lantula spiders made of fire. I mean, they're coming out with some really weird ones. Some of them were entertaining, some of them were not. Some of them were, I'll watch for about 5 minutes, like, this is just downright stupid, and I'll turn it off. Or it might hold my interest, like the Lake Placids. I can't even think of how many of those they had, like 6 or 7 of them, I think. But and they were good, but they weren't as good as the first. And then, of course, Deep Blue Sea, which was in the 2000s. I think that's when it came out. Maybe the 90s. I can't remember for sure. But it was about a giant shark. They kept saying, "Oh, it's gonna, be the one that killed Jaws." Well, nothing could ever beat Jaws. So, yeah, nice try, people. But the old saying goes, you just can't beat the classics. You just don't even try. Just let them inspire you, but don't ever try to beat them, because you're never going to beat the classics. I mean, as much as I love Mosquito and Skeeter and Swarmed, about the giant wasps or whatever, nothing is going to ever beat Tarantula and them and the beginning of the end, the giant grasshoppers and stuff like that. So, I mean, you're just not going to be able to beat them. But yeah, I've seen all kinds of newer giant monster movies. I have subscribed to Shudder, and there's a movie on there called Boar. I want to watch that. It's about a giant boar, I guess. So that one I'll watch sometime. So, and I guess that's about it. I mean, as far as the giant creatures go, I'm trying to see if I can think of any more. I mean, I probably have missed some, but there are a lot of shark ones. I noticed, like two-headed shark attack, three-headed shark attack, sharktopus, shark man, toxic shark, Jersey Shore shark attack. Oh, and we can't forget. Oh, yeah, the piranha movies. Oh man. Now I think the original piranha, they were kind of large, but they really weren't gigantic. They didn't really get big until they started making like Piranha 2 or 3D and 2D or Triple D or whatever, you know, all those, and then Mega Piranha and stuff like that. You know, those, I like the giant Piranha movies. Those are pretty good too. So, anyway, and if I forgot any, you know, please leave a comment below and, you know, let me know. I mean, there's just so many of my that, you know, I couldn't possibly mention them all, but yeah, you never know. So maybe maybe they'll come out with some more. I wish they, you know, I don't know. I still say my all-time favorite giant monster movies are the you know, like the giant black and white ones. You know, like the tarantula. Oh, and King Kong, but he wasn't really. You know, he wasn't really radioactive or anything. He was just a giant monkey. So, giant ape. Which was good. But, anyway, so I guess that's about all I'm going to have to say about the giant monster movies. I keep saying I'm going to upload a video a week. You know, I'd like to try, but I've been pretty busy lately. I'm alumni president, and we're getting ready to have our reunion, so I've been very hard at work, doing stuff for that to make sure we have a good reunion. So anyway, I guess that'll be about it. And if there's any giant monster movies that, you know, maybe you could recommend that maybe I didn't mention or something like that, hey, put them in the comments below and I'll check them out. I'm always open for the giant monster movies. So I don't think they really made any about giant dogs or cats or anything like that. Of course, you know, they did have like octopus and stuff like that. And, the Beast, I think that was the one about the giant octopus that was made for TV Peter Benchley movie. So anyway, so I guess that's about it. So I will see you all on the next video, which I'm not even sure when it's going to be. Hopefully soon, and then hopefully it'll be about a certain movie. I've been watching some. I got Tubi TV, and Tubi TV just has like all kinds of good movies on there to watch. So, alright. So I will see you on the flip side. Alright. Y'all have a great day, and I'll see you on the next video. And if anybody has any suggestions about what I could do it on, like a certain movie or a certain type of horror movie, whether it be slashers or, you know, because I like some of those, and the psychological thriller, you know, I just like a lot of them. So anyway, so alright, I will talk to y'all later. Peace.